Hi, welcome to Guitar Immer's YouTube channel. Alright, today we want to talk about how to achieve the different kind of tones in praise and worship setting. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Pierson. Pierson, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Pierson. I've been playing the guitar for almost 12, 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I serve at City Harvest with City Worship.
Nice.
And I also, as my full-time job, I'm a sound engineer, and I work at Trinity Christian Center at Paya Lebar. Yeah.
So he's a very sound guy, huh? So he knows all about the different kind of sounds that's coming out from the band setting. So he's the right person to kind of do and introduce the different kinds of tones to you. Alright, so we'll dive right in right now to his pedal board. We're going to show you some also the video of his pedal board, and he'll basically run through some different kind of sounds that he uses in praise and worship. Okay, so here goes. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different drives that Pierson uses. So you maybe want to talk about which ones you're using?
Okay, on my board there are 3 drives. The first stage is a custom pedal that I built myself. It's actually a clone of a Timmy or a Vermurum Gen Ray. The second stage is my Prince of Tone. It's actually one half of the King of Tone. It's actually a blues breaker kind of a light overdrive kind of sound. And the red one is actually the JHS All American. It's a red clone which gives me that huge distortion fuzzy tone that I need for certain songs.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
why don't you want to show us some the actual sound and let's see how it.
Okay, so maybe I'll just play something clean. Okay, with the first stage on. And I'll stack on the second stage. And the last stage.
So Pierson, I realized that most of the drives that you have are not very like those super heavy kind of, chugga-chug kind of a sound. So you want to explain why is it not like that?
Okay. One thing you realize, right, when you play in a big stage, when you're amplified, a little bit of drive is actually it sounds bigger on the house speakers. So when you have too much gain, I mean, it sounds great in your bedroom with the huge gain, and it's very easy to play. But when you're out there in the big hall, it will just become mushy, and all you hear is just like a wall of sound. You don't get the definition you get when you roll back the gain. Yeah. So actually, even when you listen to other bands, rock bands, AC/DC, you actually when you actually listen to the tones, they're actually not that distorted. So it actually brings out the notes and the clarity. Yeah.
So the cleaner your sound, the better you cut through the mix.
You cut through the mix, but of course you need a certain amount of dirt or hair to achieve a certain sound. Yeah. So it's finding the balance between too much distortion and too little. Yeah.
There's always a saying that most guitarists cannot play without a drive. Without a drive, they end up, they feel so difficult to even achieve that kind of a line. So just a little bit of drive would kind of give you that enough hair, enough body to sustain your note even longer and to give you a fatter kind of a tone. Yeah. So are your drives transparent drives or mid-hum drives like tube screamer-ish kind of thing?
Personally, for my preference, I like more transparent drives. I used to play a lot of tube screamers, but I find that they only work with certain type of guitars, especially like the Fender Strats or the Teles, because they tend to be more mid-scooped.
Okay.
Yeah. So the tube screamer actually complements, but if you were to use different types of guitars, from humbuckers, Les Pauls, what happens is it becomes too muddy in the mids for me. So I prefer something a bit more.
Like you also have a PRS, right?
Yes, correct.
So does the PRS also work well with a tube screamer, or it doesn't?
I'm not a fan of the sound. it's just
Okay.
too honky for me.
I see. Okay. So maybe you want to show clean sound and then maybe your Timmy or Veteran Clone, and let's see is it very transparent, or is there like a different in the EQ? Let's hear the sound. Let's see.
Okay.
Nice. So I think it's relatively transparent, just a little bit more, just a slight mid.
Yeah, just a slight mid boost. I find that it pushes the lower mids, which makes the guitar sound fatter, whereas the tube screamer tends to push somewhere in the higher mids, which helps cut through actually.
Yeah.
But to me, it takes off too much of the high end, so you lose that sparkle when I use a tube screamer.
Interesting point down there. Let's check out the prints of tone. Just now was stacked, right? So let's do without stacked, and then let's see how it sounds. Yeah, I think this one sounds more transparent. Huh?
Yeah, definitely more transparent. But it does have a slight more kind of breakup to it.
Yeah,
A bit
very
more-
hairy.
Yeah,
I love it.
which really works. Actually, I use it more like a lead boost, or if I really need that more gain for the sound.
Nice. Okay, let's hear the JHS one more time. That's his distortion pedal, the huge one. Okay, let's hear it. You want to stack, do a lead line or something like that? So bear in mind there's no delays now, so it doesn't make the sound even, the delays will make it even larger, but just the drives and a bit of reverb, just a little bit.
Just a tad, yeah.
But yeah, it already sounds quite huge, and you don't really need a lot of drive to kind of get that huge sound. Yeah. So one good point to take note, you can bring down the drives so that your sound can sound clearer and cut through a little bit.
Cut through the mix better. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the drives that Pierson uses. So right now, let's move on to a special effect which is very famous in the 80s. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna show you a little bit of the chorus effect. One thing that people don't really like about the chorus is because it's associated, like you said, it's associated with 80s music. So it can sound a little old school, but the trick to using chorus is not to go crazy on the effect, because it will just make it sound too cheesy. But so just a little bit to kind of double up your sound, and it makes your guitar sound bigger. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see how it sounds, man.
Okay, here's clean. With the chorus.
So this chorus is coming from the Line 6?
No, it's actually coming from my Keeley Dyno Myroto. Yeah. What this pedal does is that it's not more than just a chorus. It can also do rotary speaker simulation. It can do flanging, all different kinds of modulation effects. But mainly I just use it for chorus.
Very nice. You can hear that the chorus gives a very lush sound. So I think you use it a lot in slow songs?
It's more for slow songs, not all the time also, because I don't want it to overkill. Maybe like certain place in the song where, for example, in worship where they go into free spirit, and then it's a low atmosphere. So I just turn it on just to give it that little bit more.
So do you play it when the second keyboardist is playing the pads kind of sound? Do you kind of chorus over it, or you pull away?
I play different things from the keyboard. So it's just a little bit of highlight with the chorus effect inside. So what the second keyboard usually does is that he'll be holding a pad, right? So it goes like throughout. So what I do is that I just play like small little riffs or just even like small arpeggios with the chorus. So
demonstrate something like that.
So for example, maybe just a 4-chord progression. You can do something like. So what when you do that, you're just adding a little bit more on top of the body of pads and keyboard over there. Yeah.
So try to hear it in the context of a band, because whatever he's playing now, it's imagining that it's like a full band already playing, or like a pads and everything. He doesn't need to cover the bass. He doesn't need to play at every single bar, every single space, you know?
Yeah.
So I think what he's playing is very nice, high notes and a bit of a chorus here and there. So another idea to take away down there, you can use the chorus effect for this kind of moments. Yeah. All right, next we want to talk about it's the delays that Pierson uses. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go, man.
Delays is I think one of the favorites of many worship guitarists. Yeah, because everything you know, the first thing comes to mind. You get your U2 dotted 8 delays and all that. But personally, for me, I'm not so much of a delay person. I use enough to give it the sense of space. But what I don't want to do is, because like you said, in the context of when I'm playing with my band, there's usually another guitarist. So I don't want to have my dotted 8 delays, and he also has his dotted 8 delays, and then all you get is a mess of sound, mess of repeats here and there. So what I usually do is my first delay sound is I use a dynamic delay.
Wow.
So what the dynamic delay does is that whenever I'm playing the guitar, whenever I'm strumming, it does not actually, you can't really hear the delay sound, because it actually brings down the volume of the repeats, and only when I stop playing, then the volume of the repeats come up. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Have a listen. Yeah, so as you can see, the sound, you can only hear the delays when I stop playing, but when I'm strumming, it doesn't create that a mess of a delay over my strumming. Yeah.
It doesn't overlap.
It doesn't overlap the strumming.
Only when you hit it hard, then that it comes out.
It comes out.
Yes. Nice. Something that I don't really use, but it's an interesting one. I'm going to try it next time. Okay, what's the next kind of delays that sorry, this one is on quarter as well, or?
This is on quarter.
Quarter.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Nice.
Okay. Then next would be maybe I usually use like a analog delay for the slower songs, and usually like it's at dotted 8s, so you get the overlapping notes.
Nice.
And why I use the analog model is because it adds a bit of modulation to the repeats. So it's kind of like having the chorus effects, but only on your repeats. Yeah. Here's how it sounds.
So it's an analog mode with a little bit of chorus. So if you are using any other pedals out there, you have to find one with the modulation setting at the back. So it just gives you the extra chorusy
effect. Yes. One famous one would be the Memory Man.
Memory Man,
yes,
nice.
Correct.
Okay. So is that any other delays do you use? Or
Actually, that's about it. The reason, like I said earlier, I don't really put many delay sounds because I'm usually the second guitarist. So my job is to support the lead guitarist.
Nice.
So I try to stay away from clashing with him. Yeah.
So I think bear in mind the context right now. Pierson plays mainly as a
Rhythm second guitar.
rhythm second guitarist, so he doesn't need to be overly exaggerated in the delays, overly exaggerated in his drives. So he's keeping everything more minimal so that it complements another guitarist, which can be a little bit more
effect. Have more effects. A little bit more. He will be louder in the mix, definitely.
bottom line, the most humble guy. Okay, let's move on now. So that's mainly for delays, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I think next let's talk about reverbs. Do you use reverbs in your sound?
Yes, I do use reverbs all the time actually.
Nice.
I mean, it depends. If the amp has a reverb, then you can use the reverb on the amp. But usually what I do is I set a basic setting, which is just a slight tad reverb. You can hear it when I strike the guitar. So it sounds something like this. Without the delay, without the reverb, it sounds like this. It sounds really boring, right? So having the reverb, it sounds, it gives it a sense of space. Yeah. So that's my basic reverb setting.
So it's always on.
It's always on all the time. So the only I change to different settings when it comes to the slower songs because I want to give it more ambience and a kind of a bigger kind of space rather than a short one. The short one works very well for the fast songs because it does not get into the way of your playing. The same idea as the delay. You don't want too much effects to muddy up your sound. So for the slower songs, I usually use a shimmer reverb. With the shimmer set right at the background because once again I don't want it to be too much in front, just to give it that ambient feel to it. You can have a listen to how it sounds. Yeah, but there's also one particular effect that my reverb pedal gives me, which, like, for example, let's say that the song comes to a section where I really want the reverb to be right out there. So what I can do is I can step on one of the buttons, and what it does is actually brings up the reverb sound on its own. So an example would be like this.
So it kind of brings up the
shimmer. Yes, the mix
shimmer.
of the shimmer.
So can you hear the shimmer? So you know what does the shimmer word actually mean? I think it's like a octave kind of a...
Yeah.
It octaves up your notes, right?
Yes, correct. So it actually creates a reverb of your notes that is an octave higher. So it adds that high-end shimmery top to it.
That angelic kind of tone to your sound,
correct.
huh? So it's a very nice effect. I don't know if I can do it in my Helix, but yeah, it's very cool. You need that kind of a push in your ambient sound. That button is cool. So you're using the shimmer mainly for your ambient stuff, is it?
Yes, for the worship and the ambient stuff.
Okay, because why we talk about this ambient word, because reverb is the biggest trending sound in church music today. So I think one of the reverbs that we always use is the shimmer, because it gives that the angelic kind of sound. So any other reverbs you use, or that's mainly it?
That's in terms of effect. That's all. But one way we can use reverb is that we can use it with volume swells. So with a volume pedal, or even with the volume knob on your guitar here, you can create swells by playing with your volume off and then slowly, gradually letting the volume in. So it sounds something like this. So if you don't have a volume pedal, you can do it by hand this way.
Harder to use the hand.
Yeah.
So if you have a volume pedal, it's always easier. So this volume swell, you are adding the shimmer reverb.
Yes.
Are you adding any delays?
Yes. So what I usually do is that I will have my delay on the so-called worship song setting, the slow song setting, and then I'll have the shimmer reverb on top. So what happens is that the delays will give you the repeats, whereas the shimmer will give you that high end, and then you get a really big trail whenever you play a note. Yeah.
Nice. Do you add any drives to your swell sounds? Like a light
yes,
drive?
usually I leave my first stage drive on, my first overdrive, which is just a slight breakup, and it depends on whatever I need. So usually if it's still too dirty, right, what I do is I just roll off a little bit of volume and it cleans up. So for example, so you now hear it with full volume on, you hear a lot of the distortion, but if I turn it down a little bit, so when I turn it down a little bit, yeah, it cleans up, but it still has a little bit of distortion to it, which I find helps cut through the mix. Because when you play on a really clean sound, sometimes it kinds to get lost because
thin.
yeah, it's too thin.
Too
correct,
thin, right?
yeah.
So another good tip here, you can play with your volume knob on the guitar. Kind of like you don't off your drive, leave your drive on, and just play with the volume, roll it down a little bit, clean it up so that it has a fatter tone yet not so dirty kind of sound. Right?
Yeah, correct.
Alright, so I think generally, is there any other things that you want to share about your board, or that's mainly the sound that you're using?
Yeah, I'll say that. I mean, I have a lot of effects on my board, but when you're starting off, you don't need so many effects. Yeah, on average, maybe I use 2 or 3 different pedals for a worship session, that's all. So,
That's true. I
yeah.
used to bring such a huge board to church, and then after a while, it gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
I used to put on the phaser, the tremolo, you
Yeah.
know, the wah and everything, and then as time goes on, my boards become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So you don't really need like so many pedals to achieve so many
Yeah.
sounds, because worship song generally is relatively
Yeah.
straightforward, simple. Just a couple of drives, throw on your reverb, throw on your delay. You can get through the whole set already.
correct.
Right.
The main point is that we just make do with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to be intimidated like I need this pedal or that pedal to play on the worship team. You don't have to.
Yeah, I need this $500 pedal to sound good. No need. Okay, yes. He even uses a clone, right? So and he can achieve such a good tone. So it's not necessarily to need to spend that kind of
Yeah.
extravagant money to achieve a good sound. Okay, so to summarize, basically whatever we talk about. So we talk about drive. So Pierson uses 2 kind of transparent overdrive and 1 distortion pedal to give him that extra edge if he needs. He uses a chorus sound for certain ambient stuff when he's playing over the keyboard pad sounds.
Yep.
Then he has a few kind of delay. One is a dynamic delay where he uses it for his praise songs,
Yes,
right? And
correct.
then when he's strumming it, it doesn't overlaps, and only when he stops, then the delay comes out strong.
Correct.
And the other one is his analog delay with the chorus
Yes,
effect, right?
correct.
Which only affects the repeats of the sound.
Correct.
That's for his slower songs.
Yeah.
And then lastly, of course, is the reverb. So he has that short reverb, the shimmer reverb.
Yeah.
Mainly these 2, right? The
Yeah,
other one is
mainly-
like the wacky one.
The wacky one,
We
yes,
don't really use it.
Yeah.
And with a combination of all those, he does the volume swell.
Yes,
So the
correct.
volume swell requires maybe 1 drive, analog delay,
Mm.
yeah, and shimmer reverb. At least these 3, it will give you that larger kind of sound
Yeah.
for volume swells. I just want to ask Pierson one more thing. So I asked Pierson, hey, you bring your guitar, bring your effects down. So he chose to bring down this special guitar. So maybe you want to talk about your guitar and explain why you wanted to choose this guitar among all the guitars that you have.
I don't have that many. It's just I only have three: a Strat, a Tele, and a PRS. But this is my Tele. It's not a regular Tele in the sense that it has a Filtertron pickup, which is similar to a Gretsch. Yeah. So why I like this guitar is because the way it's set up, it's nice for me to play. Firstly. And secondly is having the humbuckers instead of having the single coils. The Filtertron are humbuckers. I have less issues with noise, especially on a big stage where there's lights and all sorts of interference. That whenever I bring my single coil Strat out, when I turn it on, it's like all the way. Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
position 4, position 2.
Correct. So you have to learn your equipment, work around the limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one guitar I brought. Actually, because it's actually a very simple guitar. It doesn't even have a tone knob. It's just one volume. Yeah. So
It's a Fender?
it's a Fender. Yes.
What do you call this kind of guitar?
It's called a Telecaster Cabronita.
Cabronita. Wow, that's
Cabronita
a
guitar.
beautiful word, Cabronita.
Yeah.
Sounds like a food, no? Carbonara or something like that.
But the point is that I think we don't need. I mean, you don't need fancy gear to worship, to be out there, to serve God in your own ways. You just need a simple guitar, a few pedals, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Okay, so I think in this setup right now, he's running his board into my Helix, and in my Helix I'm using a Fender Deluxe M model into a Fender IR, and that's all. So I'm not using anything from the Helix beside the preamp and the IR, so you know the context of how he's getting his tones right now in this room here. Okay, so I think with that, thanks Pierson for coming down here
it's a
today,
pleasure.
and if you like this video, please click the like icon, and best of all, please subscribe to our channel to stay tuned for future videos. Pierson, you want to say any last words before we end?
Just keep on rocking.
Keep on rocking for Jesus, alright?
Yeah.
Take care, I'll see you, God bless, bye-bye.